This land is your land, and this land is my land. This land was made for you and me.
Or maybe it's time to change the words of that tune to, instead of "this land was made for you and me," how about we go with "this land was made to be sold by Utah Senator Mike Lee." Doesn't quite roll off the tongue as smoothly, I know. But for many Idahoans, neither does the senator's idea to sell off millions of acres of public lands. Tucked inside the One Beautiful Bill Act is this idea. It was a portion of it to put 22 million acres of Idaho's federally controlled lands up for sale. Lee's reasoning: the land could be used to build houses and support local development. However, that first proposal included the Payette and Boise National Forests and BLM land, and a lot of those places are only accessible by climbing and hiking. And while that original idea did get eliminated from the budget policy bill in the U.S. Senate, it didn't quite go away. And as Hunter Funk explains, it's not exactly a new idea either.
Stanley is surrounded by more public land than any city in the United States. To the north, you have the Frank Church Wilderness. To the south, you have the Sawtooth National Recreation Area. To the east, you have the White Cloud Wilderness. So, I mean, we are absolutely surrounded by federal lands that are protected.
In Stanley, the public land isn't just part of the view.
They are completely awestruck by what they see. Like, they had no idea that this existed in Idaho.
It's also part of the business model.
I'm a special use permit holder with the Salmon Chalice National Forest as well as the Sawtooth National Forest. I get to kind of work with both those agencies. Our businesses operate on public lands. So
Jared Hopkinson's businesses make a profit off the adventure on that land.
Whitewater day trips on the Upper Salmon in Stanley, Idaho. The Stanley Fly Shop is the only fly shop in Stanley. And then Rocky Mountain River Tours does all-inclusive trips on the Middle Fork of the Salmon and the main salmon in the Frank Church Wilderness.
And they've been doing that for 25 years. So the proposal of selling public lands isn't a new concept for Jared.
It seems to have popped up and then gets knocked down and popped up and knocked down.
But this time?
Yes, it does seem that it's gotten further along, which is in some ways kind of nice because now you have like Idaho speaking up and Montana speaking up and these states speaking up and saying, we don't want anything to do with this.
Utah Senator Mike Lee's amendment would have opened the door for states to sell off what the federal government deems surplus public land to help pay down the national debt and to expand housing and support local development. This map showed what could be considered eligible in his proposal, including the Boise foothills, Sawtooth Mountains, and places that are the lifeblood to many Idaho towns.
Stanley's business is 100% tourism. There is no agriculture, there's no mining anymore, there's Forest Service and tourism, right? And so yeah, it would definitely have a large impact.
This week, that amendment was stopped in its tracks because of the bird rule. It's a Senate rule that stops lawmakers from sneaking in major policy changes into budget bills. In this case, selling off public lands doesn't directly affect federal spending or revenue, so it got the axe. Still, Senator Lee isn't done. He tweeted, "Housing prices are crushing families and keeping young Americans from living where they grew up. We need to change that." He mentioned making some adjustments to his first proposal, like removing all the Forest Service land from the list, and to significantly reduce the amount of BLM land in the bill. Only land within 5 miles of population centers is eligible. But 5 miles from Stanley, a population center, are places like Redfish Lake, and it still includes a lot of the surrounding area. His tweet went on to say, yes, the bird rule limits what can go into the reconciliation bill, but I'm doing everything I can to support President Trump and move this forward. Stay tuned, we're just getting started. Now, Jared believes it's not a partisan issue for Idahoans.
In Idaho, everybody uses their public lands. Everybody. Republicans, Democrats, independents, nobodies, everybody uses them. They're all incredibly important to them. And I mean, it was pretty quick. It was actually kind of awesome how quickly Idaho reacted and said, no. We want to keep public lands in public hands.
While the future is unclear as to what Senator Lee, or any other lawmaker for that matter, might propose when it comes to selling public lands, Jared says he will continue teaching people all about it.
You know, especially when we're out there in the Frank Church Wilderness, we very much explain to all of them that this is your backyard. You own this. I own this, you own this, we all own this. So take some ownership in it, and love it because it is all of ours.
And he's counting on Idahoans to stay loud, involved, and keep public lands public.
So hopefully people kind of recognize that there's a lot of healing that happens out on public lands, and there's a whole lot of memories and growth and family and all of that that is very much attached to public lands in Idaho. And so once our politicians actually hear that loud and clear, I think they might give up on the sale of public lands.
Well, Senator said, Mike Lee saying stay tuned. The Byrd rule did block that amendment this time, but the rumblings are that Senator Mike Lee is going to work to make other amendments to that amendment that could try to slide it back into this policy reconciliation bill. He also could introduce it as a standalone bill, so we'll wait and see. Still, if history and Idaho are any indication, the moment someone does propose putting a for sale sign on public land, it seems the West tends to show up with a not in my backyard sticker, that whole public lands in public hands mentality.